It's already late, but Macy Jean still takes her daughter, Noni Jean, to a hair salon. The stylist, Felicia, has plans that night, and the shop's already closed, but Macy insists that Noni's hair be fixed for the talent show the next day because her white Oz don't know how to do it. So Felicia agrees. Right before Noni, a girl does a tap dancing routine. Then, Noni performs Nina Simone's Blackbird. She does an amazing job, and even the audience is very pleased. However, she only gets first runner-up. The tap dancer wins, and of course, just look at the judges to see why this was rigged from the beginning. Macy is so disappointed, she grumpily pulls Noni off the stage. Then she orders Noni to throw away her trophy because she should never settle for second place. Meanwhile, Noni is upset and on the verge of crying. A few years later, Noni is now a singer and a performer. Her collab with vanilla rapper Kid Culprit for the song Masterpiece wins the top song for Billboard Awards, effectively catapulting Noni into fame even before the release of her first album. Her mother is her manager, and Macy makes sure that everything will go well for Noni's career. In the hotel, Noni has security guarding her room. The officer's name is Kaz Nicole, and he is Foyne. Noni asks him not to let anyone in, but when Macy asks to see her daughter, Kaz lets her inside. Then he hears a scream and finds Noni about to jump from the balcony. She tells Kaz that he still doesn't see her, and then she finally jumps. Luckily, Kaz manages to grab her. He tells her that he sees her to calm her down. After this, Noni finally grabs his other hand so he can pull her to safety. And girl, she looks like she found her mans. Kaz tells his father, Captain David, that he's only covering for his friend Jesse. He wants to talk to Noni, but Macy is not letting him get closer. Captain David reveals that Macy is generous enough to donate $10,000 to the fallen LAPD fund to show gratitude for what Kaz did. He adds that Noni will be meeting the press to publicly thank Kaz. She will say that she was drunk, lost her balance, and was not about to unalive herself. Kaz knows that Noni needs to see a therapist, but his father convinces him to lie. During the press conference, Kaz backs up Noni's explanation that she was just drunk, even though the press has clocked her. Kaz doesn't understand how Noni can act as if nothing is wrong. Macy also makes Noni promise that it won't happen again, but it's clear that she can't empathize with what her daughter is going through. Kaz becomes a celebrity overnight. Steve, a reporter from the National Enquirer, even offers him $20,000 for an off-the-record interview and $50,000 for an exclusive. Kaz takes Steve's calling card. Kid Culprit, Noni's on-cam boyfriend, doesn't care enough to know if she's really okay. The sorry excuse of a man doesn't call or nothing. That Temu machine gun Kelly-looking Oz needs to go, and Kaz needs to stay. The next day, Noni continues to promote her upcoming album and downplays what occurred. Then Macy takes the only good thing off of Noni's plate to keep her body tea. However, the executive officer of the record label they signed with, Liam, has decided to postpone the release of Noni's album. The accident has caused him to doubt Noni, saying suicide ain't sexy. The owner of the label, Trey, has already spent $1 million for Noni's album release. Macy explains that if they don't push through with the debut album, the label would be wasting a huge amount of money. Macy assures Liam that once Noni performs at the BET Awards, people will stop talking about the incident. So Liam gives them a final warning, saying that if it doesn't work, he will personally drop Noni from the label. Meanwhile, Kaz is busy eyeing the soon-to-be empty seat in the city council. His team includes his father and Jay Stanley. Jay knows that they need funds for this, so she introduces Kaz to some big names, including Pastor Marks. The pastor's support will contribute a lot to Kaz's victory. But even when he's busy, Kaz keeps thinking about Noni and her Foyne self. When they meet again, Noni apologizes for making Kaz lie to the press. They hit it off pretty quickly, and Noni even gets in Kaz's car to get away from everyone. They head to Kaz's favorite spot, where he gets to watch planes. He admits he's never been on a plane before because he's chicken shit. Then he tells Noni to get some help, but Noni just keeps saying that she's okay. When she sees the reporter's calling card, she gets angry, thinking that Kaz is going to be offering the press some information about her. She demands to be taken home. But then she makes it clear that she trusts Kaz and kisses him on the lips. And I'm sure Kaz kissed her other lips. Later that night, Captain David warns Kaz not to be associated with Noni. He should be thinking and acting like a politician, and being with Noni is not good for his image. But avoiding Noni is difficult, especially when she keeps showing up. She brings Kaz everywhere like a personal bodyguard, and people are already asking if they are together. In one photo shoot, Noni looks at her mother for approval when the photographer asks her to remove her clothes. Macy immediately gives her go signal. Even Kaz is confused as to why Macy is not that protective of her own daughter and just merely trying to grab dat bag. During their time together, Kaz admits he's been planning all his life to enter politics, and Noni reveals her wish to write her own songs. She even shows Kaz a box filled with all the song lyrics she wrote. Before he leaves, Noni confesses that she and Kid Culprit are together, an item created by their label for the press. This doesn't sit well with Kaz. During dinner with the pastors, Kaz details his plan to help the community. He knows that he can't win the district without the men's support, so he's hoping that they'll back him up. Meanwhile, Noni is busy getting drunk and dancing dirty in a club with her friends. But at home, she can't stop thinking about Kaz's long courgette. When she gets the chance to talk to Kid, she finally breaks up with the white twink. She says that it's not working for her anymore. Kid Culprit accepts Noni's decision but will remain friends with her. While Kaz is at work, Noni decides to show up again. Kaz is pissed. He doesn't need the Hollywood treatment because his work is stressful enough, but Noni insists that she has a surprise for him. When Kaz removes the blindfold, he finds himself on a private jet and Noni riding him. At first, Kaz is crying to stop the plane, but Noni got a tight grip on his zucchini and he can't resist. They officially confirm their relationship when Noni takes Kaz as her date at the awards show. Macy is against the relationship because Kaz is not good for Noni's career, but Kaz doesn't back off, believing that he's better for Noni than Kid Culprit is. During the performance, the dancers are supposed to pull off Noni's coat, revealing her sexy underwear, and Noni knows this. However, during the dance, she refuses to take it off. On top of that, Kid realizes that Noni is also refusing to do the suggestive movements in their performance. He gets mad and even tries to untie Noni's coat. He forces himself on her in the middle of the performance, but it becomes so obvious that the two are fighting on stage. Then the Aaron Carter reject announces that he broke off with Noni, and that is why she jumped off the balcony. He forcibly takes her coat off, causing Kaz to finally step in. Kaz tries to avoid conflict, but when Kid calls Noni a freak, Kaz punches him in the face. Captain David scolds his son, knowing that this will greatly affect the pastor's support. Honestly, the pastor should be supporting a man who protects a woman from an Ellen DeGeneres wannabe. Even Macy can't persuade Liam to support Noni because she just got herself in a new controversy. Then Noni looks at her sexy photos and realizes she can no longer stand that image of her. As she breaks down, Kaz arrives and comforts her. He takes Noni, along with his dog, away from the spotlight. It's the break Noni has always dreamed of. They don't follow any schedule and just do whatever they please. The two even end up dipping Kaz's corn dog in a gooey batter. And one morning, Noni removes her hair extension, revealing her natural hair for the first time. She had kept them on since her childhood, since her white mother didn't know how to braid or use a hot comb. Kaz loves her either way. With no money in her pocket, Noni can't just spend on whatever. So she gives her earrings in exchange for a silver bracelet, which she gives to Kaz as a gift. She's also overjoyed that no one seems to recognize her. One time, Kaz sings karaoke, and it's clear he's not musically inclined. He encourages Noni to sing in front of a crowd. Noni sings a cappella of Blackbird by Nina Simone, but the video of her singing goes viral, and the paparazzi find out where she's staying. Macy finds her location as well. She watches the video and says that Blackbird was the first song Noni ever sang. Noni was just 7 months old then, and Macy was just a 17-year-old single mom whose parents were not supportive. Macy reveals that after hearing Noni sing the melody, she felt like it was the two of them against the world. She encourages Noni to get back to work after her much-needed break. Her video has gone viral, and Liam wants her back. When she breaks the news to Kaz, he warns her that her mother's affection is not going to last. He thinks that after a week, Noni will be back to doing suggestive moves on stage. Kaz really gagged her with that one. Because they can no longer see eye to eye, Noni leaves with her mom without saying goodbye to Kaz. As for Kaz, they'll be announcing in a few days that he's running for a seat at the city council. During a meeting with the owner of the label, Trey, a P. Diddy-type character, Noni says that she wants to write her own songs. Trey says that the CDs have been pressed, so they can just make a re-release next time with Noni's cover of Blackbird. Besides, the contract has been signed, so Macy shows the termination of contract document that was sent to her by Liam. Liam says it was just a mistake, but this has given Macy and Noni the upper hand for negotiation, because technically, they need to draft a new contract for the deal. Macy insists that Noni be given the freedom to write. However, later when Noni asks that Ryan Tedder be her producer, Macy is quick to say that the album can't be delayed. She admits that she argued during the meeting just to get Liam kicked out. Disappointed, Noni finally confronts her mother. She has done things she didn't want to do because her mother is acting like a manager instead of a parent. But Macy insists that she did what she had to do to help both of them survive. The argument escalates and Macy slaps Noni hard. Who needs enemies when you got a mother like that? So Noni finally fires her as her manager. Heartbroken, Noni goes to Kaz's house to talk to him, but he's busy. He says that what they had started with was a lie. One day, Kaz receives a phone call from a domestic violence victim. He rushes to get there and convince the woman to leave. When he enters to check on the kids, the man shoots him. Luckily, it misses Kaz. The officer ends up beating up the man. In an interview, the man says Kid Culprit suggests Noni is faking her British accent. But Noni says she faked many things in her relationship with Kid Culprit, but her accent wasn't one of them. Noni finally admits that she did try to unalive herself, but now she's getting the help she needs. She says that she's getting to know the real her. Kaz is overjoyed when he sees Noni's interview. Sometime after that, Noni flies back to the UK for a performance. Felicia styles her hair again. She says that Macy called asking how Noni is doing. Noni is glad to hear that her mother still worries about her. Just outside, Kaz is waiting for Noni just to tell her that he loves her. And because it's time for the performance, Noni doesn't get the chance to answer. Instead of Blackbird, she sings a song she wrote. It's about finally being free. Macy cries as she watches Noni's performance. The crowd cheers for Noni, and she pulls Kaz to the center with her. They share a kiss in front of everyone, and this time with nothing to hide. This was really sweet, y'all. You should definitely watch it. What did you guys think?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you'd like to watch more foolishness, click here or here.